Isn't it great to be alive on a Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time with your boys reporting eligible? No belts over here. We're all good with that. But thank you, everybody, for joining this evening, man. We got much to talk about. Predominantly the draft recap. I think a lot of us Falcon fans are still on this high of this Falcons haul that we had in the 2025 NFL draft. That's our 5 draft picks. But that undrafted free agent class that we brought in has a little something to say. Some key names, really, that were brought in by these Falcons late after the draft concluded. So we're excited to bring you some of those names that we may think will have an impact on this Falcons team maybe this year, maybe a year from now, next year in 2026. But we're going to talk about it. But let me get Bro Talk in on this, man. How you doing this evening, brother?
Oh, man, it's a great day. It's the last day of April. Another month has gone by. We will be starting May tomorrow. You know, thankful to be here. Thankful that 99% of the fan base, it feels good for all of us to kind of come together behind, you know, what Terry cooked up this past week and Raheem and all that. I don't care about the noise and the nonsense going on with. We killed it. It's been so long since we felt this confident about a draft class, and then now feeling even more confident in the defensive unit that we were all kind of like, I think we all feel better after draft weekend.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But before we get into the topics, shout out the quick viewers that are here, man. The third, Bam. He says, sources tell me Arthur Blank is the one who prank called Shador. Holy Christ.
Come on, man.
Our brother Dwayne Ruffin from sunny SoCal. What is going on? Carrie already in the building. What is going on? Carrie Potter, the phenomenal trio that is One Time for the Fan. Make sure y'all check out Carrie and the rest of One Time for the Fan on YouTube. Hit him with that subscribe as well. She has a question right off rip. Berto Bro Talk, hope you're doing well. I would be doing a whole lot better if it wasn't for these damn allergies, but overall good. Thank you so much. Hope you are as well. I feel so good about this draft and our undrafted free agents. Terry cooked absolutely with every pick. My only worry is nose tackle. I really wanted us to get bigger on that D-line, and we'll share our thoughts with that. If you want to right off rip, Bro Talk, that's the first question we're going to attack, man. What'd you think about the defensive line? We all know how the board was falling, right? And it seemed like the board was falling in the Falcons' favor. I mean, we talked about it so much, even on draft night. Who would ever thought that Xavier Watts was going to be there at 96? Who would ever thought that Billy Bowman was going to be available at 118? But credit the teams that reached really for some players that went in the earlier rounds that had these guys fall. So at 96, Xavier Watts was the pick. There was some talented defensive tackles on the line. It's still available. But your thoughts right quick on what you think? What are you thinking about in regards of Carrie's question here?
Yeah, I think that's still a big question mark because I like who we have in the defensive tackle room, but they're not, I guess the word is beefy, right? They're not the big bodies that you want sitting at your 1, 2, 0 technique. They kind of eat up a couple of, offensive linemen, keep those linebackers clean and keep the edge guys clean as well to fight off the one-on-ones. And I think that's just kind of, and the facts of the draft is it's kind of how it fell. Kyle Smith kind of touched on it is they had their guys in certain buckets, right? That they had. And as the draft went on, he talked about it. If they were there and they didn't make the trade happen for James Pierce at 46, we very well could have drafted an offensive player, whether it was a wide receiver, tight end, or offensive lineman. That's just how they viewed the board. And they don't care about the outside noise. They were going to do what they think was best to improve the team. So, in the 4th round, we all talked about it. Day 3 was starting. This is the time to take a defensive tackle. Yep. And what did happen? Those darn Philadelphia Eagles started off, took Ty Robinson and then CJ West goes, and then it just started going and flowing. It was a run on defensive tackles, which I think they expected because they stayed at 118 and they were just kind of letting the board go as it went. And I think they were happy with who they landed with. And I am too, especially hearing their game plan for Billy Bowman. And the same thing goes for the 7th round. I think if someone was there that they liked that had some size, they maybe would have picked over Jack Nelson. But even then, Jack Nelson, 5th, 6th round guy to land him in the 7th to develop
phenomenal value.
I think that's a win. And so there is questions there. It's questions of like who's going to be able to hold up. David Onyemata, the one technique, Rook. He did some of that at Clemson, but he's still on the lighter side when it comes to defensive tackles. There are a couple of veterans that I could see us kind of take advantage that have 1-year deals left. I'm looking at someone like DJ Reader of the Lions, drafted Talik Williams, right? To
the Lions. Yeah.
If Talik Williams is outperforming him, that's the perfect time to take advantage of it. He does carry an $11 million cap hit, so there would have to be some finagling there. And another one that kind of caught my eye was Sheldon Rankins. These are vets. These are 6'2", 6'3" guys, 300+ pounds that had that experience from the 1 to the 3 to the 0 that could provide that boost. 1-year deal, and then we attack that position even more in next free agency as well as the draft. So, I've talked a lot, Berto. Tell me what else you think. What your feeling is in regards to how it's constructed now. Are you really nervous? And then if you are, what do you think the Falcons can do to improve?
So where it is right now, after listening to what Nate Ollie was saying in his press conference from today, I really feel like he has confidence in the group of guys that he has here. He talked about on certain downs or passing downs featuring Brandon Dorlus, and Zach Harrison. That gets my juices flowing because these are two guys that are disruptive by nature. Brandon Dorlus maybe a little bit more from his time in Oregon. Hasn't really shown it in the NFL, but I think Nate Ollie is the key here in how he can coach them up, right? And same, there's so much untapped potential really with Zach Harrison. I'm really excited for his thoughts already on featuring these two guys in the pass game. Can it get better? Potentially with the names that you mentioned, absolutely. But I still look at the undrafted free agent class that came in. Simon Barron Jr., the Michigan transfer that went to the Miami Hurricanes last year, 5 sacks last year, 6'1", I think he's like 290 pounds, I want to say. He's a Puna 4 type, not as heavy, but what I saw from him in college is little stoutness, right? In the run game, could hold his own. Did he get washed from time to time? Yeah, obviously, you're right. But what Miami didn't really have was that pop in the middle to let the guys on the outside have it all work in between. Here in Atlanta, I think over the last 2 drafts, we've been able to go ahead and acquire that. So I look at a kid like that where we can bring in, we can coach up. I think there's workable things with him that can potentially have him see some playing time in this year. Or if not, we groom them for next year. LaCale London, Taquan Graham, they're both free agents after this year. LaCale London, not a lot to make the team. If Simon can come in and show that burst that he did in Miami, then, brother, your seat is up. And Simon can very well come in and take that. But to answer it, and I know I took the long route, I'm still a little bit concerned. But I think that Nate Ollie, I believe in his tutelage that I think he could get the best out of this run game going forward.
Oh, no, absolutely. Just want to shout out the super chat. Thank you, Terry, for drafting speed and IQ, something I always needed for Matt against the bros, SMH, LOL. And I think we all had the same thought, Berto, that, I opened it up saying it feels like the fan base collectively really loved what Terry and crew actually did this year, where it was, sometimes it felt like he was reaching for certain players where we saw, us on day 2 and day 1, a couple times we were like, oh, really? Right now? It felt like other teams were reaching at that point, and Terry just kind of sat back and took the Howie, I think it was Trayshawn on the Falcoholic. He said it. He took the Howie Roseman approach, let the board fall to it is, and the fact that Jaylen Walker, our first round pick, fell to us at 15. We had our thoughts initially, but we're excited for him to be a Falcon and then taking the aggressive approach to get another guy opposite, different body type, but can provide the boost on that defensive front.
Absolutely, man. Let me round out really quick the shout outs in the chat. You guys are lit. You guys are here. We appreciate it so much. King Richie, what is going on? Rel, G Money. Let's see. Jones Bones, of course, of course he's here. Grum, what's going on, bro? Jason Roberts, King Richie, Michael is in the house. Bernard, our guy Damsky's in the building. What up, Damsky? Yes. Broski Walker, Uncle Steve's Lounge is in the house, man. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you tuning in. Uncle Steve Lounge, another pillar in this Falcons content community. Make sure y'all go tap in and subscribe to Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube as well. Our guy, RJATL, the plug, is in here as well, man. But we got to get right into it, man. Rod, what's happening, brother? Our first round pick, right? Jaylen Walker at 15. Now, there was some talk about James Pierce, what confirmed talk at that by the Falcons, that if Jaylen Walker wasn't there, James Pierce was our guy at 15. The board fell the way that it did. Obviously, that's the consensus in this draft. I don't think in a million years Atlanta anticipated a top 10 talent being right there. It's like the NFL gods were like, all right, Atlanta, we know your deficiency is pass rush. We're gonna do away with that. We're gonna gift wrap you. We're gonna gift you Jaylen Walker. Your thoughts, right quick, on one of the more uber athletic linebackers to come out in a while. And here's a stat: 60 pressures since 2023. As far as getting to the quarterback, Jaylen Walker knows a thing or two. But your thoughts?
Yeah, 7 sacks to end his career at Georgia. And, if he can just provide that number in his rookie year or even close, that would be a huge boost to us. But seeing the board fall the way it did, it was kind of crazy because we really thought, Carolina was the first team up, right? They went the wide receiver route, and I think they couldn't go wrong if they went Jaylen Walker or Tac McKinley, T-Mac. Yeah. And then New Orleans was up. It's like, okay, this is another sneaky team, our division rival. They went offensive tackle. I kind of laugh at it, but hey, they took their route that they did. San Fran, another sleeper team. They need to replace Dre Greenlaw. Did they view him as an edge? Did they view him as an off-ball guy? They took his teammate, Michael, right? And then Dallas was the last team in front that if anyone was going to take him, it was going to be them. And they went Tyler Booker, offensive guard. And after that, I think I kept telling you, it's like, it's going to happen. 15, it's Jaylen Walker. And it was happen. To see the reaction of the fan base, first time ever in Falcons history, 1966, this franchise was founded. First time in the first or second round, a Georgia Bulldog was selected by the Atlanta Falcons. So history in the making. And it couldn't be a better player because of his versatility. But the best thing was hearing Jeff Ulbrich say, he's going to play the edge. He's going to get really good at rushing the passer and playing the edge before we ask him to do anything. Now, I like that, but when it comes to certain situations, like playing a Jaden Daniels or a Josh Allen this coming year, we play Buffalo, his athleticism is going to be used, at least I would hope, to spy those guys in certain 100%. Situations, right? So to where last year, right, if we could contain Jaden Daniels even so slightly, we would have won against Washington last year. Yeah. And then the conversation is completely different at this point.
My God, right.
But to see Jaylen Walker, he's only 6'1", he's 245, but 245 at 6'1", man, that's a muscle, and you could expect him to probably put on another 5-10 pounds once he gets through the training program with the Falcons. I'm excited to see what he does. He's got a little bit of bend. He's got some strength to hold the edge. And I really, really think he could come out as a day one starter.
Yeah. I like Jerry Gray's comment when you mentioned the weight, 6'1", 245. And he mentioned if a guy's good at doing what he does at his weight now, leave him there. If you feel like he can add a little bit more and ask him to put on a little bit more weight, go ahead and do it. So really, in essence, it's like keep him where he's at, right? The footage has shown the burst, the short quickness burst that he has, Jaylen Walker. So yeah, spying would be an amazing thing because in the past we've been killed and tortured by mobile quarterbacks. Yeah. Hopefully now that's a thing of the past. What Jaylen does offer now, maybe not all the pass rushing things that we want to see, but he's good at stopping the run. His back end pursuit is pretty elite. He's in where the ball carrier is at all times, and that of course that helps in a department that we've lacked. And in recent years is the run game, right? We want to put offenses in that third and long to allow guys like Jaylen on the edge, Pierce, hell, even Caden Ellis. Now, man, we have two Swiss Army knives if you want to look at it that way. At the linebacker spot that you can really do a variety of things with Jaylen and Caden. Factor all these guys in. The point is, we have pass rushers that we think that we couldn't acquire, and God damn it, they're here in Atlanta, which brings me to our next guy at 26, James Pierce Jr., a ballsy trade, right? To move up 20 spots, sure, the first round pick next year, is kind of the sore eye in all of this. But like even like Kyle said, is there going to be a guy like James Pierce Jr. Coming out next year? Do you want to wait? Have a wait and see approach that if at 20 you're going to get the value back in return? And short answer, they don't know. I think it's no. So you got a chance to do that now this year. They pulled the trigger. They got James Pierce Jr. Atlanta walks out with 2 top 5 edge rushers. What do you feel James Pierce is going to bring to the Falcons in his first year, man?
Well, I mean, I think another guy that could be a day one starter, and he's essentially a younger Leonard Floyd, but not as bendy as Leonard Floyd. He's more of a strong guy, and he's smart. He doesn't overcommit on the edge. He knows when to stop at the quarterback and retrace. So to hear them, I want to say this. The initial thought, right, when we saw the trade, we were both like, oh my God, next year's first. Oh my God. But when you look at it in hindsight, it's exactly how Kyle Smith said it, is like, we would rather use our first round pick this year to acquire who's essentially the number 2 guy on their board. They got their number 1 and 2 guy on their board, which is crazy.
It's crazy.
In that in itself, the whole office is like losing their minds because they're seeing this guy fall, and it's like, why not? Why not go after it? And then you still acquire a day 2 pick. You give up the one who, honestly, I don't know why the Rams are drafting a tight end. That's not a focal point for Sean McVay's offense.
Not his
offense.
It
didn't make any sense to me. But to do that on 2 potential day 1 starters, you have the 5th-year option on both of them. I'm excited. Like, both of these guys will bring juice. And, James Pierce Jr., fastest edge in, this draft class, fastest one. He's got the fastest step. Like, he times that stuff really well. And the whole off-field thing issues, hearing the coaching staff and what they talk about, and hearing him say, like, I don't get it. I love football. I think it was more so the Volunteers have, I think, gotten a bad rap because realistically, James Pierce Jr. should have been on the field the whole time. And I think that's where his frustration came from, because they were rotating guys so much. That's why you saw someone like Norman Lott not have a whole lot of tape, because he's constantly getting rotated. And I get it. They want fresh bodies. But when you have studs like James Pierce Jr., keep them on the field. And I think that's where you're going to see his best ball come out, because he's going to be on the field a lot.
Man, and when Jerry Gray was asked, what'd you think about James Pierce's 40 at the Combine? Yeah, we need that on our team, and damn it, it is here in Atlanta. Realistic One, thank you so much for becoming a new sub to either platform. We definitely, truly appreciate that. Going into the 3rd round, these Falcons, came in with limited draft picks with 5, but still left, this draft overall with 5 picks, just at different parts, right? What we didn't have coming into this year was a 3rd round pick, but we got one in return with the trade with the Rams, which it was a 3rd round pick 101, but which we moved back 5 spots to 96, or traded up to 96 to acquire Xavier Watts in a small trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, that a cerebral safety. Fire and Ice, I think that's what they're calling him and Billy. Jerry Gray's calling Billy Bowman and Xavier Watts. Watts more of the thinker, both cool, super athletic, cool, calm, and collected. I like it, man. So you bring in a guy that does a lot of what Jesse Bates does, and that is such a plus to have, such an element like that in Atlanta. You're talking about 2 ball hawks. Overall, what the Falcons team has done in this draft is just acquire ball hawks to really, complement this new pass rush that's here in Atlanta now. But your thoughts right quick on Xavier Watts and, the intensity he's going to bring to this Falcons safety group in year 1.
Yeah, I mean, who's the guy they compare him to? It's Jesse Bates, the guy we already have here. So what better guy to learn from? And I think to see the approach that they took with all their players, it was what you call it. These are all guys that have a lot of snaps under their belts. It's not a lot of guys that maybe Jaylen Walker is kind of the outlier because he did so many things for Georgia, but you know what you're getting with Xavier Watts. You're getting a ball hawk that has great instincts and is a student of the game. Another guy that could be a day 1 starter next to Jesse Bates. I know we brought in Jordan Fuller, but hey, camp happens. And if you're the best player on that team, you better see the field. So if you're going to have, I've told my wife to start one, but she won't do it.
Clutch. That was good. That was good.
But that was the name of the game. If we can't get to the quarterback, you want to have guys on the back end that know how to get the football and create turnovers. And the only person that we had was Jesse Bates, and he can't be all over the field.
No,
right? He's
right.
an all-pro. He's a Pro Bowler. Extension coming soon for the
absolutely.
Guy. AJ Terrell. Everyone's knock on AJ Terrell. Well, he doesn't get interceptions. Well, he's a PBU machine, right? That's his thing. He's a PBU guy, maybe not the greatest ball skills. So you add more guys with ball skills. Xavier Watts, realistically, in my humble opinion, should have been a second rounder.
Absolutely.
The fact that he fell to the third, and I think they thought the same thing, like, holy crap, like he's going to be there. Terry, make it happen. And he did. Sure, it was a 5th round pick next year, but you know what? How many times people are like, Terry's not aggressive? He was aggressive.
He was aggressive. Methodical and aggressive, I think he was. He really attacked this draft like really well, man. Hitting needs.
It was, yeah, exactly. It was position weaknesses, right? They attacked the quarterback position last season.
Yep.
They're attacking the edge group and pieces, in the secondary, the nickel and another safety. Those were the weak points. They feel confident in Mike Hughes and AJ Terrell. They felt like they needed to upgrade at the nickel and the other safety to really be competitive.
And something, I'm going to just dial it back just one bit, right? And it's like this. I'm glad the Falcons did not trade back into the first round last year, because that was the rumor right after the Michael Penix pick.
Right.
Yeah, they wanted to jump up into the top 10 with the Jets. I think it was to take Lateo Latu, who was, one of their guys on their board. Could you imagine had we done that, the shit that we would have been in this year? Because it would have been bad. We probably would have been without our number 1 or number 2, well, whatever, whichever route. But to be able to do what we did in this draft, I think it's going to catapult this defense for years to come.
Right. The saying is true. Things happen for a reason or don't happen for a reason. And for the Falcons not being able to trade up, I loved Latu. Me and you both did.
Yeah.
I was pounding the table.
No, me too. I was high on him too.
I wanted him. But James Pierce Jr., in my opinion, is going to be a better pass rusher for us. And Jaylen Walker, to get both of them, right? 2 instead of 1 is a lot better. Just like you said, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
I'm glad that trade didn't happen, because then we were able to do what we did this year.
Exactly, man. Matthew, man, what up from Los Angeles, boys? What's going on, man? Hope you're enjoying, man. Thank you for tuning in, man. Wyatt's starting at strong safety. William Amy, what's going on, William? Yeah, I agree. I think you can pencil him in. And in fact, the first 4 picks, I think it's safe to say that these are day 1 starters, man, a la a certain season. I don't want to bring it up just yet. That, we struck gold in that one with 4 of our, first 4 draft picks were all contributing starters, man. Jawan Johnson, what's going on? The football gods be looking out for us sometimes.
Hold on, you say Jawan Johnson?
I think that's how. Yeah, Jawan Johnson. Oh boy,
Nola Jawan Johnson, are you?
No, not my guy here. He's strictly Falcons, man. He's strictly Falcon, brother. So that leads us to the fiery guy of the secondary, Billy Bowman Jr., man. Safety out of Oklahoma. What can you say, right? Guy that plays the position with high intensity, a ball hawk in his own sense, was around the football a lot. But we started to hear more about him becoming the nickel in this Falcons defense. So he's going to be entrenched in a battle with D. Alford and Clark Phillips III. But some are saying that's your day 1 starter at the nickel. Now, your thoughts right quick, man, because Billy can get after it, right? And a lot has been said about his tackling ability, which, I think is just slowing him down, slowing the game down for him. And I think he'll be all right, man.
You know what I have to say to that? This was OU's first year in the SEC. That's that Big 12 football still instilled in them. They don't tackle.
Yeah,
in the Big
they don't
12.
tackle.
They don't tackle. So that was just kind of the coaching staff will coach them up.
Yeah, true. Absolutely.
I think that'll be fixed. But yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. I didn't watch a whole lot of Billy Bowman because I didn't think he was going to be the guy. I liked him, but I didn't think he was going to be someone we added. So I went to go look at him. And just like you said, he's a feisty guy. He runs his mouth. Who he kind of reminded me of after he did some things?
Please say it.
Well, we touched on it. We saw a little bit of Brian Branch, right? Maybe not as high a prospect, but you know who else I saw? The Honey Badger. Tyrann Mathieu. He's got a
Ooh.
similar playing in the
Ooh.
nickel, coming up. He don't carry 6'5", 6'6", 300 pounds. He's gonna let him know, like, yeah, I just did that. Get out of my
Right.
face, And you want that. You want that spark. It gives some juice to the defense as a whole. But moving over to the nickel, I think he's got the footwork. He's great at breaking at the ball. A lot of what Oklahoma had him doing was a lot of single high, but the versatility will allow you to mix coverages in that aspect. But I think he'll do really well. I know you talk about camp battle.
Yeah.
I really think he can win that battle. I like Clark Phillips a lot.
Me too.
They're gonna
Me too.
trot him out at nickel. He's got some serious competition. They have this. They're the same height, right? I think Billy Bowman's a slightly bigger body and a bigger hitter than Clark Phillips is. So that might be the intrigue, because there were times where he was in the box and he was run fitting really well from what I saw. So 4 picks and potentially 4 starters. You get younger on defense and you get faster on defense, and that's huge.
Absolutely. Shout out DeAndre, man. Thank you for another $5 bid, man. We truly, truly appreciate it. He says Billy is light-skinned version of Clark Phillips. Crazy with the fire emojis. Training battle gonna be stupid lit. And that's another thing. Training camp, I hope, is open to the public. Last year it wasn't. I'm already making, accommodations to if training camp is open. I'm flying down to Atlanta. I gotta go there. It is open.
It is open.
Ta-da! There it is, man.
Now the pressure's on me to get out there. Great, thanks, bro.
Oops. Oops. Oh man, but that's awesome. Yeah, so we definitely value what Billy Bowman's going to bring to this Falcons team, and just those 2 picks there. That's 23 takeaways between Watts and Billy Bowman. Watts 13 at Notre Dame, Billy at 10 at Oklahoma. Pair that already what will we have with Jesse? Go ahead.
I was just say 11.
11? Oh,
11.
Oh, he had 11.
Billy Bowman. Sorry.
Billy Bowman. No, you're good. You're good. So 24 to add on to what Jesse Bates has already, accumulated in his career, which is right around that same 24, 26. It's a lot of takeaways now in Atlanta. Now, the guy in the undrafted free agent portion of the show that we'll talk about also brings ball hawking capabilities, and another added member to the crash out crew, as it's called in Atlanta. So really focusing on the edge was the plan. And it seemed like it was defensive back driven the rest of the way, right? But very methodical. They took guys, or they're banking on guys for their natural abilities to take the ball away. Those 2 guys that we just talked about specifically. Unc's in the building. What is going on, Uncle Louie? Rise up, my brother, man. Hope all is well with you, man. Here we go with this one. And Alberta, I just that damn Jack, man. I swear he's
flying me out. He just texted me. He's flying me out so I can be there.
Oh, will you be at more games this up and coming season, or are you still doing Bleacher Report football every Sunday game day? Yes, I will be doing every Sunday breakdowns post game. But I have this running thing going on with them now. I may be able to do it live right from the building. So for New England, I'll be at the Patriots Stadium for that game. I'll be at the Jets. So my hope is that they give me the green light to go live from both stadiums to give, a different fan perspective and a different perspective overall, and a breakdown right from the enemy territory, if I should say it. Yes, but yeah, absolutely, man. So rounding out the draft, 7th round, Jack Nelson, Wisconsin Badger. And if you and I know a thing or two about Wisconsin, dude, they just breed offensive linemen, man. They just pump them out, brother. They're a factory for pumping out. Jack Nelson, of course, projected again in that 5 to 7th round 5 to 7, and he was taken in the 7th. He could have went a little bit earlier, but still, gives Dwayne Ledford, a project offensive tackle, right? There's questions next year, obviously with Caleb McGarry, getting up there in age and contractually as well. If this kid can come in and fit the bill, at least 80% of what Gary can do now, then see you later, Gary. Hello, Jack. And then you got a bookend, the all-important bookend, because that's Michael Penix's blind spot. But your take right quick on what Jack Nelson can potentially bring to the Falcons.
So I love the fact that we took a 7th round, offensive lineman. Jack Nelson, from what I've seen, he's great laterally, for the outside zone that we want to run. He talked about how his favorite, most comfortable side is that right side, maybe not the blind side tackle.
Bang.
Yes, exactly. I was going to bring that up, but he talks about being that
The shit
blind
king.
side or that right tackle, maybe not the blind side, but you take that 1 year to develop as that blind side tackle. Jake Matthews is getting up in age. I think that's why they extended him, because now he doesn't have to be that blind side guy.
Exactly.
And Michael Penix, has that, out of the corner of his eye, he can see what's going on with Jake. So, it's hit or miss. You don't know if he'll develop the way you want to. You don't know if he's going to be the guy. But, he's listed at 6'7", 316. He's built like Caleb McGarry. I think he's got slightly longer arms. But yeah, not giving up a sack. In his 4 years of Wisconsin, he only gave up 9. 2, 2, 4, 1. That's it. Like that's
shit.
huge, right? That's huge.
Oh.
And he's from, we take PFF grades with a grain of salt, right? Until we make our own assessment. But they had him at an 82 pass blocking. Like that's a whole heck of a lot better,
Solid.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Take it with a grain of salt, because sometimes PFF grades things that we're like, what? Things like that. But if Dwayne Ledford, from what I heard, that was one of his guys, and the board fell the way it did, yeah, take your shot. Throw the dart at the dartboard, and you may get your Jordan Mailata. You just never know.
You never know. Exactly.
Like you mentioned, Wisconsin Badgers, they are known as having some of the best offensive linemen translate to the NFL level.
That's awesome. That's all good. That's all good shit, man. I'm psyched. I'm psyched that we were able to round out, really the draft with just key members, new key members, potential starters and a developmental tackle for the future. Somebody says, except Peter Cons.
We don't say that name.
Oh
here.
My God. Yeah, he was our second round pick. I forgot what year. Thank God I forgot the year. But needless to say, we're going to touch on now the undrafted free agents, because there's a couple cats in that class that have people just like, oh my God, can't believe we landed this guy. We touched at the beginning of the show on Simon Barron Jr., defensive tackle that we took in, transfer from Michigan State, played for Miami Hurricanes last year. But to sit here and know and say that the Falcons were able to acquire the Black Hawk Mamba of it all, the Kobe Bryant, I would say you're a fucking liar, man.
Right.
But no, there is no lie. There's a lot of validity to that. Kobe Bryant is an Atlanta Falcon, ladies and gentlemen, and a kid that once I have personally seen mocked to go in the 3rd. Some mocks I've seen in the 5th. You name it. So from 3 to 7, Kobe Bryant was insured to be on an NFL team, drafted hearing his name, not a phone call saying, hey, you're going to Atlanta. Kobe Bryant makes his way now to Atlanta, adding more size and athletic ability to this Falcons DB room. The crash out crew definitely gets the ball hawking crew, if you want to call it that, because Kobe Bryant knows a thing or two about taking the ball away. He did a great job at Kansas. But your thoughts right quick on Kobe.
No, I mean, you touched about it. You touched on it. A lot of people were pounding the table to take him in the 4th, right? Because they knew we needed a nickel guy. And 6'1", he's taller than a lot of corners. I think the biggest knack for him was his weight, 175.
It's 175.
Slim,
yeah,
but you wouldn't notice that the way he hits people,
right?
Yep, he's fearless and he runs his mouth. He jams. He's that prototypical corner that will get in your face, get in your head, right? He plays mind games with the wide receivers. A guy that was supposed to go, like you said, in the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, it just kept going. I'm like, dude, what is going on? I've still to hear a report to say why he went undrafted.
Right.
And the fact that Falcons landed him, it's like the cherry on top on a phenomenal draft that Terry Fontenot had. I think he can really, really compete to be on this roster. Maybe not a starter right away, but definitely as a backup guy. If Mike Hughes goes down, if Billy goes down, or whoever's playing nickel, and he'll plug in. And he's got a chip on his shoulder already. He's been posting on Instagram. 26. There's no way there's 26 other guys better.
Love that
than
attitude,
me.
man.
And those are the type of guys. Steve Weiss has mentioned. I've seen Steve Weiss mention. Those are the type of guys that really bring a lot to your team, that have that fire lit under them. He already had that fire. Well, the other 31 teams that let him pass, took other corners besides him, 32 because we passed on them too. But nonetheless, he's on our team now.
We're the exception now.
Yeah, he's got something to prove. And I could totally see him want to take on like Drake London and Darnell. And that's how you make a name for yourself. If you can jam them, get them off their routes, hey man, there's a roster spot for you. And it would kind of stink for Natron Brooks. Someone I think could make the roster, but he could also still make the roster. We've got so many guys, camp bodies that we signed. We brought back D. Alford, Kevin King's back. So many other guys that if Kobe can really, really compete and play at the level that we all think he can, Raheem's going to find a spot for him and find a way to get him on the ball. Because you said it, the name of the game is takeaways. Can't get the sack, get the takeaways. 13 total takeaways in 4 years at Kansas. That's huge.
Beautiful
4 last
shit,
year.
man.
And he had 2 of those become pick sixes.
Yep. Very opportunistic. Exactly. He's very opportunistic. This is a kid who has great ball skills in zone. He reads route concepts well. Obviously, the takeaways speak for itself. Rod, thank you so much for the $4.99 bid, man. He says, I think Kobe Bryant was handling Travis in Colorado game, if not mistaken. And you are absolutely correct on that.
He was getting
He was all over him.
He was all over him, man.
Sure was, man. And the great thing, right? We talked about the size, we talked about the weight. Here's the privilege that he has. He gets to go one-on-one with Drake London. And what does the NFC South have? A lot of Drake London-esque styled receivers in size and weight and maybe speed, with obviously the Hall of Famer Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Tac McKinley now with Carolina. So, it's good practice, and we don't know. He's going to come in and play with that chip on his shoulder. We just don't know how it's gonna pan out. But I'm here for it. I'm all here for it, man. This is exciting times for this Falcons defensive back room. Another name that made its way to Atlanta, it's a wide receiver, a productive wide receiver, Nick Nash out of San Diego State, man.
Yeah, that was surprising. That was the first one we signed.
Yep, that was the first one we signed. You mean to tell me you had 1,300 yards just sitting out there not being drafted? And oh, by the way, 104 catches to go along with that. In every sense of the word, possession-style receiver is Nick Nash. He's not going to burn you. 4.57 speed at the combine. But what he does well is he sets up and he catches the ball very well. He's just a guy that just plays football and does it. He fucking does it well, man. We talk about, the wide receiver room we'll touch on right now. Shout out Drake London for getting that 5th-year option picked up, by the way, which was a no-brainer. But we look at the wide receiver room and what it looks like after next year, right? Darnell Mooney will be here. Ray McLeod, we're banking on this year to see if he can put up the same style production he did in year 1 as in year 2. Michael Penix now at his disposal. Not a bad get, but we need to see you do that again, Ray, if you're going to earn another contract. Casey Washington, a draft pick from 2 years ago. That's where I see Nick Nash potentially coming in and being a factor. Maybe at that 4th, 5th wide receiver spot. Maybe could beat some of these guys out. There was a young man last year. He was a preseason darling at the wide receiver spot.
Chris Blair.
I think Nick Nash has a little bit more to say in that regard that can come in and really take an actual roster spot from those two gentlemen. Casey Washington has been battling injury, as we know, these last couple years. Prime spot for Nick Nash to say a thing or two. What do you got?
Yeah, so you talked about his stats. Triple Crown winner in the FBS. A Triple Crown winner went undrafted.
Yep.
And, a lot of people like to bring up, he went to a smaller school. Go watch the USC tape. Those are some NFL caliber players. He put up 3 tutties on them. And this is a guy that's just now playing receiver, only in his 2nd year.
I know, Dahlia.
Former quarterback, right? Former quarterback converted receiver, and he's doing these things. I see a lot of Puka Nacua in his style. He's not going to beat you. He's not going to burn you, but he's going to set you up, like you said, and find the opening. And I think him playing quarterback has led to his success at wide receiver. That's the best way to make a roster spot. Be the safety blanket for Michael Penix Jr. No, you're not going to be the 1. No, you're not going to be the 2, right? We know who 1 and 2 are. but I think he legitimately could climb as high as the wide receiver 3.
Wide receiver 3.
Playing in the slot with Drake. We love Drake in the big slot. Those two guys could be interchanged, and he's going to find, stick routes, over routes, even corner routes, whatever. If Penix has the confidence and he has the hands like he showed in college, you got to put him on the field, man. I really think, we talk about like, oh, this guy could start. Nick Nash, there's nothing saying that he can't, right?
Yeah.
Competition,
yeah, right.
Healthy competition is good. I love what Ray did for us last season.
Yeah.
Could he do it again? Sure. But if Nick Nash is the better player, you got to put him out there. Sorry, Ray, you're going to be our return guy that gets sprinkled in on offense a little bit.
That's fine. Yeah, Georgia, Texas boy, you're absolutely right. This is Washington's second season. I think I got a little too hyped and said 3. And no, 4.5 is not as far from slow. I'm a guy that runs a 4.5 and it's documented. Just putting that out there. I told Chris, I told Chris Tipmore from A1 Forever Sports that if me and him ever lined up on the field, I'm jamming him. I am jamming him. Physicality 101, Chris. But yes, man. Some other names that made their way right through is Joshua Gray, another offensive lineman from Oregon State, man. 6'4", 310 pounds, a guy that screams versatility. He's played all up and down the line, but I think the calling for him may be at that center spot. A lot of folks feel like he can play center. I think that he took some snaps at the Shrine Bowl, the Senior Bowl, and they made him do some work there. But one thing this kid can do is anchor, and he did it well at Oregon, primarily at the guard position. But you bring him inside. Obviously, we gave Ryan Uziel the nod for this year to be the starter. But let's see what
he still hasn't signed that, by the way.
And a lot of folks have said that. Yeah, could he be one of those guys that waits to the last minute before camp opens up and then I don't know what the gig is, but Raheem has already mentioned him as being the starter. Maybe they know more. Obviously, they're going to know more than what we do. But looking ahead, let's see what Ryan Uziel offers. Let's see what Jovan Gwynn offers. That's another kid that we're still waiting to see what we get. He's bounced around practice squad, opening day roster. Maybe Joshua Gray can probably steal that spot from him. And at 25 years of age, he comes in a little bit more mature than most of the draftees. But I don't give a damn, man. If the kid can play, sign me up, man.
Yeah, and you spoke on it. His versatility, being able to be developed under Dwayne Ledford. Dahlman, everyone's freaking out that we lost him. I think we'll be okay. I think Ryan Uziel, unless he gets just flat out beat out by Javon Gwynn or Joshua Gray, whoever it is, I like this. It's another cherry on top of a great draft class because we want healthy competition. You don't want to get complacent at a position. Sure, Ryan Uziel played 8 games last season and it looked good, but you still have to bring it a level of competition to where he's going to be playing his best ball, and the best guy on your roster is going to be put out there with the starting 11. So I really like this kid. I like what I saw when he was at tackle, when he was at guard. And then just trickling his way, right? Greg Zabel's doing that. Charles Rogers out of Texas Tech is going to do that. These tackles that are more so guards and centers, I like it. I like it a lot. And I really think, again, getting younger, getting guys that can compete and have some solid backups, it's another guy that I think could make the roster.
Beautiful. Georgia, Texas boy says, I was probably thinking about Carlos Washington. Maybe. Maybe, brother. Maybe, man. Another intriguing option that came, and this was I don't know how he didn't go drafted. He went undrafted. What's this? Keep pounding. What?
Bro, you Panther fans are on one right now.
Oh,
you need to humble yourselves. It's been since 2015, longer than us, that you've made any noise. Y'all need to humble yourselves, okay?
Absolutely,
had
man.
A great draft, but let's
give you that.
Down.
Yeah,
let's simmer down.
Let's wait. Let's temper our expectations with young Bryce Young. Let's temper that right now. Malik Verdon out of Iowa, man. Physical safety, 6'4", 200+ pounds. I don't think that's his position. I've seen a lot of people speak about it. I thought about it myself. I'm sure that you have too. Linebacker, I think it fits the bill for this kid. 6'4", believe is 220 pounds. because he's just a physical presence, right? And we got to be honest with the crowd right now. Linebacker still is a weak spot for this Falcons team.
The question.
I mean, in the rough is a real thing. We don't know how, Barrett Rue can get out of Malik Verdon in a position change, but linebacker for me is the spot for him. That's what you have to do. Safeties, it's too crowded right now, man. Way too crowded.
Yeah, so Damsky, I think, put it out. He is listed as an inside linebacker on our roster. So he's already making the conversion. And, what better place to be as a safety converting to a linebacker than with Jeff Ulbrich, right? Jamie Sherwood, Divine Diablo. He likes his linebackers with speed and height. And that could be a project for him because, honestly, we don't know if Diablo is going to pan out, right? I saw good things. I also saw some bad things from him. It's up to Ulbrich to tap into his best ability. And if Vernon beats him out, sure, people are going to be like, oh, this is another bad signing by Terry. Well, you and I have talked about it. It's really a one and done deal if it needs to be, right? They have an out in the second year. And, Terry's good about finding an out, even with contract years left. The dead cap money is low. You save your money and then you move on. So it's all about competition this season with the defense and finding your best 11 and the best guys to back them up and rotate as needed to be in a competitive level. And I'm sick and tired seeing this national media narrative that we're going to be picking in the top 10 again. Even though
I saw that. That was so disheartening. Man, are you fucking serious, man?
Worse.
Right.
Apparently we got worse, right? We talked about this on a previous show. Did we get better before the draft? No. Did we get worse? No. After the draft, did we get better? Yes.
Absolutely.
So to see people say we're going to finish third or last in our division and then have a top 10 pick, potentially a top 5 pick, that's just you're rage baiting at this point. Like,
absolutely, man.
You have a national platform. Just let's use our brain for a little bit. The Atlanta Falcons are going to be competitive for division and at floor going to be a wild card team.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. A1 forever, Chris Tip Moore. What is going on, my brother?
He brought up again how he's going to lock you up. He's going to clamp you up.
I am not shying away from what I said. If he wants to strap up at training camp and just put it
God. There. No, dude. If you're going to training camp, bro, you know how many eyes are going to be on you?
I don't give a shit, dude.
Oh, my God.
I don't give a shit. I got like 3 months to get in shape, bro.
Right?
I'll get it.
When's training camp start? July?
End of July. Yeah.
So you got 2 months, buddy, to get in shape.
Phenomenal. I got it. Oh man, great question, Ray. When was it the last time we had quality ends?
Quality? Shoot.
Been a while. I mean, hate to say the name Tac McKinley, but he was quality at the beginning, his rookie season. I think he finished 7.5 sacks in that playoff run in 2017. You got to think Vic's first year. It's about the last time
before Vic fell out of love with the game, with
football. Yeah.
And then before then you got John Abraham, and I can't even remember who was opposite of him.
Patrick Kearney. And that tandem,
they play together?
They played on the same team, never got to share the field. Patrick Kearney got hurt that year. I remember when I interviewed John, that was the first question I asked him. What was it like, knowing, coming to Atlanta, you had a chance to play with Patrick Kearney. And I asked him, what would have been the impact that you guys would have had? And he got real emotional on the show because he's like, man, I think about it because I think we could have been an incredible tandem. But they never got to live that out.
I love Patrick Kearney, and I was so sad to see him walk and go to Seattle when he did. One of my all-time favorite Falcons. Underrated. Yeah.
Underrated. So freaking underrated, man. Man.
Answer Bones' question here.
Gotcha. Go ahead, brother.
You think tight end is a sneaky depth need? Felipe Franks is currently tight end 3. I don't even think Felipe Franks is making this roster, brother.
Oh, man.
I'd rather have the kid that undrafted free agent that we signed out of South Carolina.
Joshua Simon.
Yeah, he's got some beef to him. He can run block, be a little bit, maybe be an H-back style guy like we used Ross Dwelly last year because we were carrying 3 tight ends last year. We definitely need to carry 3 tight ends this year. I don't think Felipe Franks messes roster, man.
No, man. No. Chris says, yes, sir. They can't steal our joy, man. Great draft. Absolutely, man. I don't give a damn what the naysayer said, man. This was by far a banger of a draft. Want to give it a grade? What are you grading in Falcons draft?
Initially, I graded it without the undrafted free agents. I gave them an A. With the undrafted free agents, I'd give it an A+ because they got some guys that were supposed to be drafted.
Right.
Triple Crown winner, Kobe Bryant, Simeon Barrow, Joshua Gray. Like, sure, they maybe were like late day 3 guys, but these are solid quality depth pieces, man.
Yeah. Great shit, man. I'm with you, man. A+ for me. A+ for me, man.
When's the last time you saw the fan base all collectively like come together after a draft? But I don't even think 2016 was like this.
I don't think so neither. Draft wise, no. Actually no. You know why? Because that Keanu Neal pick got so much fucking flack for it, and he ended up being a Pro Bowl player just a year after. So yeah, it's been quite a while. It's been quite a while, man. Hey, bro, let me see. Hold on. Hey, Berto, what are your thoughts on how Ollie wants to use Zach and Dorless as strong side defensive ends? Yeah, so he mentioned that, man. You know, they're going to feature them on the interior, but in the base package, I think myself and Bro talked about it. They're going to utilize them on the ends as the big edges. So now you got big bodies for your front four to hold up. That's exactly what we need, man. We need guys that are stout that can hold their own, because let's remember, man, this run defense before this alignment's going on has been garbage. And now Ollie sees the vision and what we have, and he's putting it to work. I'm excited for it, man. So, yeah, and Brandon Dorless, he was my draft crush last year. I actually mocked him to the Falcons. I just had to throw that out there. You know, I want to relive the disruption that he had in Oregon here in Atlanta. I just think Ollie's the guy for the fucking job, dude. I think he's gonna bring out so much talent on these guys, man. It's crazy, man.
And that's where, you know, Raheem is learning as a head coach with his staff is you got to bring guys that have seen success, what works and what doesn't. And coming from the Texans organization, as deep of the defensive front that they had, he got to work with Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, Sheldon Rankins, Danico Autry, all those players, and then learn under D'Amico Ryans himself. I just think that's invaluable that now you bring that, you know, source of knowledge and you're implementing it here, how you want them, you know, to attack. Real quick, Berto, before we get to this question,
absolutely.
I was going to answer this question. The offseason schedule, for those of you that didn't see it, rookie minicamp starts May 9th and is through the 11th. OTA offseason workouts then start on the 27th through the 28th. May 30th, they get a day off. June 2nd through the 3rd, and then June 5th. And then mandatory minicamp is June 10th to the 11th. So those are the dates that we know for sure that have been announced.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff, man.
What was the
fresh
question
glass
right here? Do you think we are still trying to get Ramsay even after our draft? And frankly, I don't think so.
I got something to say on this one. And April Thomas, what's going on, Ron? How you doing, buddy? Glad all is well with you. Hope all is well with you, man.
Hold on.
Appreciate
I'm not
you
even
tuning
gonna say
in.
anything now. Why don't you just drop what you got, man?
Yeah. So Jesse Palmer was on Bleacher Report today, just addressing various questions, topics. That was one of the ones. What do you see happening with Jaylen Ramsay still? Sources close to him say that the Dolphins are still actively shopping Jaylen Ramsay. While nothing is imminent, they're definitely working on both sides, parting ways. Atlanta is still a destination for Jaylen Ramsay. The Rams are another team, obviously, you know, with roots there going back to LA. Same could be said for Atlanta with Coach Raheem Morris.
I'll give you my prediction.
Sure, of course. But Atlanta's still in it. And for him to say that, Jesse Palmer having insider news, I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. But, you know, as the report is stating, I can dig it. Why not? Jaylen Ramsay to Atlanta. What you got, bro?
You know, as much as I'd love to see Ramsay, you know, getting younger in the secondary with the value pieces that we got, not having to give up more capital, right? We gave up capital to get Watts. And then the cap hits that are going to be following. Even though we're involved, right? Raheem loves Ramsey. Ramsey loves
Right.
Raheem. It just doesn't make sense, right? If it happens, great. Like, I'm not gonna like buck at it, right? But I don't think it happens realistically anymore. I think if we wouldn't have gotten maybe Bowman or Watts, one of the two, or maybe both, I think that's more still like, oh yeah, it's gonna happen. I think he lands with the Raiders. I really do. They have the cap space. They have the capital. They acquired so much capital this draft by trading back so much,
Yeah.
they still have so many needs on their defense to actually be competitive. I like the Raiders offense. And if the Raiders truly want to be competitive, I really, really think they need to go get him. So that's where my prediction is for him now.
No, that's very solid. And Jaylen Ramsay, I believe, has mentioned, an affinity to play for a West Coast team, LV being one of them, Las Vegas. Here's another question here. Ramsey or Alexander? I like it. If we go Alexander, that screams Jerry Gray to me, having been with him in Green Bay. That's about as far as I can go with that. But yeah, I mean, for me, who would I rather? I still would rather Ramsey. In my book.
I'm with you. I would rather Ramsey. He's got less of an injury history than Alexander.
Yeah.
Alexander's still a great corner.
Sure.
I think the injury history is there. The cap hit is there. He wants to get paid. He's on his last year of his deal. I would expect him to get shopped before the start of the season. Maybe he's a Raider as well. Raiders still need corner help,
Sure.
safety help as well. So I think both of them are linked there. The Rams make sense because the Rams are just known to go get guys with 1 year left, the guys that are still elite, Von Miller, Jaylen Ramsay, when they traded for him the first time. So if it were up to me, I would still go get Ramsey, but I don't think either land here.
Oh, oddball question, potentially. Do you see a guy like DeMarco Hellams possibly moved out of Atlanta?
Not now. He's going to be a special teams guy. He's got to work his way up the depth chart. The unfortunate thing with the sport and the business is injuries happen.
Sure.
He wasn't a first rounder. He wasn't a second rounder. He was a seventh rounder. That worked his way up the depth chart because, let's be real, we had a weaker secondary besides Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell. Mike Hughes showed out right now. He's kind of worked his way up there in the good graces of Atlanta. But unless something happens, right, I think he's going to be on this team depth-wise, but he's really got to work his way to try and win a starting role. Maybe he's thrown in there in the dime package because he is a hard hitter. He's a go-getter. He struggles in coverage a little bit, but maybe he had time to learn the playbook a little bit more. Honestly, I think he beats out Jordan Fuller right there, that question, because Fuller is a little bit older. They're very similar. You want the younger guy, sure. Hellams had that season injury, but it was a dislocated / broken ankle. His knees are fine. The ligaments are fine. It's just a bone that took all year to heal. And, I think because, again, just like Braylon Trice, it happened in that Miami preseason game. He's had all last season and he's had all, this offseason up to this point to get his body right. So it's going to be a hard uphill battle for him. He was a 7th round draft pick. He's it's nothing new to him, right? He played at Bama. He understands what hard work is. So I'd like to see him. He's going to be a special teams guy, but 3 safety looks, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah,
he's got to beat out Kevin King, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Like you mentioned, some of those guys, D. Alford, Kevin King, they're no locks to make, to make the squad, man. So, yeah. My brother, ATLGA Faithful, what's going on? Stopping through, hit that like button. ATL, let's hunt. He needs to trademark that. He's been saying that since I've been on YouTube, man. ATL, really? Let's hunt. Make sure y'all tap into ATLGA Faithful on YouTube. Hit him with that subscribe too, man. Morgan Fox, man. How valuable is Morgan Fox? I think the versatility he offers on this defensive line, being, a veteran on this defensive line, a guy that you can put on the edge, you can kick inside. He just does his job really well. He's a true football player, man. So I think he's very valuable. And plus, you need guys like Morgan Fox on a relatively young defensive line Atlanta's trotting out. So he's very, very valuable to Atlanta.
Yeah, he can affect the passer on passing downs. He might be a part of that NASCAR package. You won't see him to get, 25, 30 snaps, maybe 15 to 20. a game, in crucial situations, real active with his hands, great bender, great defensive lineman to, run stunts with. So even if he doesn't get the sack, he's really good at affecting the passer. And the most effective way to affect the passer is right in their face. And, Fox can provide that better than, a David Onyemata, Rook, who's still learning, still working on his craft, even Brandon Dorless, right? Like Berto said, he's a veteran guy that can teach these young bucks a thing or two, even if he isn't this Pro Bowl, all-pro guy. You need those type of players on your team because remember, it's not about who you draft in the first round, the second round. It's how you build everything around to cohesively get the main mission done. And that's win, get to the playoffs, win in the playoffs, and ultimately win the Super Bowl.
We're going to close out the show with this last question here. Tariq Johnson, expectations for AK this season. Great question, right? And I think Bro Talk has spoken about it. I touched on it a couple of times. Jeff Ulbrich, introducing the wide nine, to these defensive fronts. It's right up AK's alley. I know last year James Lake tried to do some, and it worked. It worked for AK. Why? Because he utilized AK's speed, which AK has aplenty, is speed. But Ulbrich now with the added pass rushers, I think AK could become that much more dangerous on loops, on delayed stunts. AK, I think, can have a breakout season in year, number 4 for him. And critical, right? He's going into his last year. He's another guy, contract year. So I expect the biggest year or biggest leap from any other of the linemen we have to come from AK-47, man.
Yeah, my expectation for him is 10 sacks. You got to hit double digits, dog. Your trajectory's been like this. Your trajectory needs to keep going that way. Ulbrich there, Nate Hawley there. I think they can get that because when we started running more wide nine in the second half of last season, that's where he had his success, where he could use his speed, his bend, and his pass rush moves instead of being right next to the offensive tackles and potentially getting latched onto. So I'm expecting a minimum 10 sacks and, hopefully he gets paid next year, maybe by us, maybe not. If he doesn't have a great year, that means he'll just be that much cheaper in the offseason.
Damn right. And with that concludes another episode of Reporting Eligible, man. We thank you guys so very much. 475 eyes we peaked at. We certainly thank you for taking some time out of your busy Wednesday evening to tune in and kick back with us, man. Recapping the 2025 NFL draft and undrafted free agents. It's been a hell of a class, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully now it's time to put in the work. These coaches know what they got in these players. Now it's all time to start putting it all together, implementing not game plans, but defensive schemes and all this good shit, man, that involves with defensive football. But Bro Talk, let the folks know where they can find you, man.
Well, right here at BK2 I will be changing that handle to @DirtyBirdCentral to match the YouTube name and the TikTok name. Twitter, you guys, if you follow me, I tweet on the daily about everything Falcons on top of what's going on in the NFL. TikTok, daily posts. I've taken a couple of days to recover from the draft, but I will be posting once again. NFL, Falcons, you name it. And then same thing with YouTube, long form content there. I will be diving a little bit more into these draft prospects. I'm working on that long form video. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. And thank you guys all for being here.
Man, great stuff, man. I'm your boy Berto, host of the 95 North Falcons talk show, but also here on Reporting Eligible with my guy, Bro Talk, man. Platform you can find me on YouTube. The name is right there on the bottom, 95 North Falcons talk show. You can find me every Wednesday also on Bleacher Report. Drop some content today, live at 6 p.m. every Wednesday. You don't want to miss it. But until then, we will see you next Wednesday. We'll try to cook up something behind the scenes and see what we can bring you guys to bring you some good old reporting. As a matter of fact, informative reporting from a good tandem.
Get out there.
See y'all. Oh, man. Until then, y'all have a blessed night. Peace, man.